Hey guys, it's MazeMan112, and today I'm going to be doing something that's a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about an event. Today is the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks that happened 11 years ago, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about that event and what kind of significance they had in a historical setting. I know when this event happened, I was right around the age that a lot of you guys might be, so I would just like to see, if what I was thinking is something that you guys might be thinking as well. So I'm going to be looking for your feedback. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to give a brief timeline of the events of the day, just so you could get an idea of how quickly everything happened and where that went into your regular day of setting. So I'm going to go ahead and start. 9/11 was just a regular fall day, just like any other, until 8:46 a.m. That's when the first plane hits the tower. At this point in time, many people don't know if it's just an accident. Many are not thinking a terrorist attack at this point in time. It wasn't until 9:03 when the second plane hits that now everyone's thinking this isn't just an accident. This is something that, for two giant planes that were flying across the country to hit two of the most significant buildings in New York is just not a coincidence. At 9:37, shortly after that, a plane hits the Pentagon. At this point in time, we're all in pure panic. We don't know really what's going on. What scale of an attack is this? Are there going to be bombs and stuff coming like that? We still aren't really thinking terrorists. We just have no clue what's going on. For me personally, it wasn't until a little bit later that we even heard about this plane in the Pentagon. Because I don't know if it was just because it was so close to the next event that at 9:58, the first tower begins to crumble. The tower goes straight down. It doesn't weeble. It doesn't wobble. It just goes straight down and collapses inside itself into a pile of rubble that looked like it could only be a couple feet high. I understand it was bigger than that, but it was just to see a building of that kind of proportion, that significance, to just come straight down within itself and leave a pile of almost nothing was something I never wish I have to see again. It was something I didn't see live, which I am glad. But we'll get into that a little bit later. At 10:03, so this is a little bit after, about an hour and 15 minutes after the first attack, a plane goes down in Pennsylvania. This is a plane that there was a movie that was about it. It explained, what was going on in the plane and how a lot of people who were heroes saved a lot of unknown lives by stepping in to intervene on the hijackers. And unfortunately, they did lose their lives, but they saved a lot of people while doing that action. The last event that I'm going to touch in the timeline was at 10:28, so this is right around that hour and a half mark, or hour and 45-minute mark after that first plane hit, that the second tower crashes, and it is just like the first one. It goes straight down, collapses inside of itself, and almost vanishes into nothing. It was something that this one I did get to see, and I wish I had it. It was something that it will live in your mind for the rest of your life. It's just one of those events. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about where I was at and what was going through my mind at that time. So like I said, I was in high school, so I was a junior in high school. We had just started, this is week 2, week 3. And when we first start, we always do a couple fire drills. And at my school, our fire drill, we pretty much evacuate everybody. We go to the football stadium. We all kind of sit around and talk for a little bit. They make sure everyone's clear, and we go back in. The entire event generally takes a half an hour, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit longer. So we're coming back from this fire drill, and, when anyone comes back from a fire drill, you're kind of slowly get back to your classroom. We weren't going to have much time before we would have to go to the next class, so we were all kind of really dragging our feet, this time. And we used to have a radio station that was right outside the main hall at our high school. And inside the radio station booth used to have 2 TV monitors up in the corners, and it was always on a CNN, and I think it's Channel 1 News, the old high school news station, and it used to always be on that. And I just remember walking by, and we see, breaking news, a plane had struck the tower in New York. And we all just, didn't really understand what was going on. I remember people joking, "Oh, it's just a drunk pilot." Those pilots are always doing that kind of stuff. It just felt a little bit different this time, but none of us really understood what was going to happen, what was going on. So, we really drug our feet going to the next class, and it was the talk in the hall. Everyone was talking about it. Did you guys hear this? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? And no one really had any answers, but it was enough to go ahead and chatter about to delay you getting into your next class. So we go ahead and get into our next class, and that's kind of what everyone's doing in the beginning, and the teacher that's in there, has the TV on, and next thing we see is the second plane hits. Now, when this second plane hits, everything changes. At this point in time, I almost felt like we were in the Cold War era, where people were going to be talking. I was waiting for that nuclear siren to go off, for people to try and run into bomb shelters. I mean, the teachers actually who grew up during that period, they knew this was bigger than I did. They made it a point to sit us down and say, we're not going to learn any biology today, guys. I want you guys to watch this, embrace this, soak in as much as you can, because when you get older, you're going to remember this event, and this event's going to have a lot of cultural significance, and it's something that you're always going to remember. So that's what we did the entire hour. We just sat there and watched the news, and what we seen unfold was just, I mean, it was horrific. You couldn't imagine. We see that the plane hit the Pentagon, and by the time the plane hit the Pentagon, we're getting ready to go to a different class at this point in time. So we had kind of heard about it, didn't really know what was going on, so we go to our next class, and we're in a class, and my next teacher, they knew the event was pretty big, but she still wanted to go ahead, and we have curriculum we have to keep up with. Let's go ahead and do this, guys. Let's get this knocked out. We'll check the news at the end of class to see what's going on. And this is the point in time where the first tower collapsed. And we weren't watching the news at this time. A student comes into the classroom and talks to the teacher and lets her know that the first tower just collapsed. I mean, it just fell straight down. It was at that point in time that we wind up turning the TVs back on. And after that first tower crashed, that's what we did the rest of the school day. We sat and watched this, and to see what was going on. Were we being attacked by another country? Was this the beginning of World War III? Many of us, especially at my age, had never heard of Osama bin Laden. We did not know that the Twin Towers had tried to been blown up before by him. We are just kind of, in our own little world. We're naive teenagers. We're thinking we're going to war and we're going to whoop somebody's butt. That's what we're thinking at this point in time. But when you deal with terrorists, war's not fair. So I just wanted to go ahead and get your guys' thoughts on what 9/11 means to you. What do you remember what you were doing at that point in time? Do you remember what thoughts were going through your head? Did you think this event would be what it is today, or did you think it was just something small and you weren't able to absorb that moment? Go ahead and let me know. Leave it in the comment section below. If you guys got any interesting stories, I'd really love to hear them. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.